Because I don't want Not a problem.
Eh, it happens.
Welcome, everybody. Evan.
Welcome, welcome. Sorry, wasn't where the stream had already started. We are back at within NUMENERA.
Yeah, he went back to web. It's fine.
For some odd reason, I can hear myself with a slight delay. That
Oh
kind of threw me
no.
for a second. We are joined today with Max
Hello.
and James,
How's it going?
Robin,
Hello.
and Austin.
Hi.
Now, does someone want to recap last session? Tell us what you did, where you went, who you saw, and where we left off.
That was like a month ago, and a lot's happened since then. So all I remember is that we're in a city filled with pipes.
Fair enough. So I'll provide the recap this time around. The party wandered into the town of Uxvan, nestled in the Black Riage in search of missing persons. The Black Riage is a long mountain range. Think kind of like the Rocky Mountains. And that's a good mental image right there. After a few inquiries around town, it became apparent that something went wrong. Many of the missing were able-bodied citizens of the town that seemingly fell to their death off of the numerous cliffs lining the outskirts of town. All of the information seems to be stemming from men employed by Baron Tychronus, and so our brave group found their way to the Baron's estate. Upon learning he had left for war, the party was quickly employed by Dorian, the Baron's lead man, before Dorian's quick departure. A search of the house revealed nothing of merit, and just as our heroes were about to leave for the cliff, Bjorn, Gale's Sesky companion, began barking at something in the study. A thorough search of the room later, Gale discovered a hidden trapdoor, and our session ended with Nobo D pulling a small pry bar out of his bag of light tools. The party eager to discover what lays hidden below.
Oh yeah. I'm trying to remember my character's motivation. Oh wait, that's right. Money. Or lack thereof.
Alright, so, as I just said, you are all in Baron Tychronus' study.
I mean, I don't have the crowbar, nor the strength to back it up, so I'm just gonna prod nobody. Like to do something.
Uh, I'll move forward with my pry bar, just waiting to be shown where I need to put it so we can start popping the sucker open. Otherwise, we'll have to go find an axe or something to break it open.
Yeah. All right, yeah. And so the hatch is over here. So you any of y'all have something to help me get this open?
I'll help him.
Alright, so as you approach the trapdoor, pointed out by our fearless Gale, or wild Gale, I suppose. I'll need you to make a smite roll. Task 5 difficulty.
All right.
On it. Is that me, or is it?
That would be Nobo D, as he is the crowbar. However, as I said, people can help or assist.
All right. I have a might 9 in this.
I have a light 10, so maybe we should switch.
Ladies first.
Yeah. Alright. Go character sheet. Start. 5. Oh, that's wrong. I rolled a 1.
Oh no.
Alright. So we haven't had a 1 yet in this game. What a 1 does is it implements a GM intrusion. So basically, something happens that's completely unexpected, or perhaps not completely unexpected, and it's just a fun way to reintroduce storytelling and role playing into the mechanics of dice roll. So, Melia, as you take the pry bar from Nobody and you shove it into a crack in the floor, you start pulling, and you're not sure why, you're not sure how, but you pull with all of your strength, and the pry bar just snaps right in half.
Shaker.
I know my character's startled. The sound of snapping metal is loud, so I'm going to immediately jump back and pretend to be doing some sort of ancient martial art stance where I just flail around a whole bunch.
I let out this unfamiliar squeak, and I just look downharden at my pieces of pry bar.
And Bjorn and I are startled and very disappointed that happened.
I look at the snap pry bar and go, I'll be back. And I go to the room I was given, come back with my glaive. Improvised pry bar.
I just acquired that, and I did it with such elegance, he didn't even know it was missing.
Wait, you took that?
It was just sitting there.
You're supposed to pay for things.
You were... I thought that's what you were doing. You were the one that was
I don't have any money.
handing him money, and I think that was the day we got the fruit.
We have fruit? I've been hungry for almost a whole day. We have had fruit.
No, that was 6 months ago.
See. Um, Ignoring their squabbling, I'm going to try again with the pry bar. With the improvised pry bar. And,
Seeing her using this, I'm leaving the room. I saw what she did to the small pry bar. If this one snaps, I don't want to be in the way. So I'm going to watch from the doorway.
So, within Numenera, you can definitely try again on a equivalent skill test. What you do need to do, though, in order to repeat the exact same skill test, you have to expend 1 level of effort.
yeah, I was going to ask 1 level of effort. That's 2 might. If you have 1, how many do you have?
Right.
You got 1
So-
effort.
You have 0 might edge right now,
Yes.
so it'll be 3 points of might.
Alright.
It is a task 5 difficulty with 1 level of effort. It goes down to a task 4.
Alright.
And this time I want to add an expert helper to help out.
Absolutely, yeah. You can definitely grab onto the glaive on the other side and help her try to pry it open.
Alright. So is it still a task 4 or is it down to?
Now it's down to a task 3 with Gale's help.
Okay. How can I get another one?
And it is another 1. So that calls into play another GM intrusion. You can, if you want, expend 1 experience point to re-roll.
I'm going to spend some experience to re-roll.
I wouldn't worry about that just yet. I mean, I have magical powers. I'm sure we've been together long enough that you've seen me fix things.
True. Okay.
Not that I don't want you to expend your experience points. I'm just saying if it breaks your glaive, I can mend it with my hedge magic.
True.
Knowing
Okay,
that you
so
stole that crowbar, I don't know if I feel okay with repairing it.
Alright, so we're keeping with the 1.
Yes.
So again, just as you did with a crowbar, you're pulling on it, and your glaive is made out of sturdier stuff than just a light pry bar. So as you're pulling on it, you see the wood around the trapdoor start to splinter and creak a little bit, and you give it one last final pull, and the tip of your glaive slips out from the crack and flies backwards into the wall behind you. It hits a bookcase and embeds itself within 2 books, completely stuck to the wall. A small little metal twang could be heard as it flies through the air.
Okay. I just kind of stare at her a moment, and I look a foot and a half over at where the blade's still shaking in the bookshelf. Then I'll look at her. Did I wrong you in some way? Did I do something wrong? Or did he put you up to it?
No one's trying to kill you.
Yet.
And that is my character response. Probably in unison.
I'm gonna go take a walk, and check my pants. I'll be back.
I realize that the situation is this trapdoor is incredibly stuck, so I'm going to try to magic the situation. Hedge magic allows me to make things float. I'm going to see if maybe making the door float will open it better. Floating locks and stuff like that. So I will perform hedge magic on the trapdoor.
Absolutely. So while hedge magic does allow it to float, it won't actually unlock the clasp. So you can see this, the outline, um, about 2 feet by 2 feet of wood kind of lift up barely a millimeter. Just enough that it's visible. If someone's dragging something on the floor, it would catch or it would trip someone. But because the lock is still in place and because the hinge is still in place, it doesn't float any higher than that.
Okay, I want to point out the hinges or the lock. Since there is a lock, we see this lock?
You cannot. From all intents and purposes, it looks like just 2 feet by 2 feet of wood floorboard has just risen ever so slightly.
Is there a visible bottom to it?
Nope, the wood is the wood of the trapdoor is so thick that, or thicker than half a millimeter, that you can't really see the bottom of the trapdoor from this angle. You get the sense that you'll need to open it somehow uh, in order to see down below.
Are the hinges on our side?
They're on the bottom, from what you can gather.
I look at the door. Can you mend this if we hack it apart?
I can mend anything, but I will not be able to sharpen it.
No. The door.
Oh, the door. I was referring to your weapon. Yes, I should be able to fix it.
Good.
There has to be at least an axe around here that will be better than your weapon. Something heavier.
My thought. That was my thought.
So, I guess, I say spread out. Let's look for an axe.
So, Robin, are you pulling your glaive out before
Yes.
you? Yeah?
Yes.
Alright.
Mhm.
Roll me a might check. It'll be a task 2 difficulty. It's stuck into the bookcase pretty firmly.
Just in case, I add expert helper again.
Absolutely.
Help out.
And just as before, I can imagine Gale, kind of dirty and smelly, getting real close to the glaive and grabbing one end and just trying to pull along with her. Someone else can help as well if they want. With 2 people helping, it goes from a task 2 difficulty down to a task 0, which is an automatic success.
Doesn't matter. I succeeded. So.
Wonderful. So as you're pulling, you hear a slight little plop as the glaive and the 2 books it was embedded in, come flying out backwards of the wall. It's no longer stuck. But as you take another look at the bookcase, you can see 3 and a little bit of a 4th symbol stuck or embedded in the bookcase wall.
Hold on the axe, I say, and then sweep the books off the bookcase to reveal whatever it is that's behind them.
All right. So with what I can only imagine as someone smashing keys on a piano as you sweep all of the books off the one shelf, completely unnecessary as they were hidden behind only 3 books, and
It's okay. It felt good.
um, but you see 4 small metal buttons just on or set into the bookcase. And the metal buttons are a green half moon with an odd squiggle, a pair of white horizontal wavy lines, a bluish circle, and a red M with a line through it.
This looks weird. I like it now. Okay.
Robin, with your weird knowledge, you can tell that this is a is Numenera in nature.
Lion! Over here.
I probably been, checking out the door. No, I had stepped out to look for an axe. Considering the contents of this room, I imagine I had moved into the adjoining room, so I will shuffle quickly back in. Yeah, everything okay?
Come here.
I walk over to her gestures, and I'm sure that they stand out enough that I could see them as I approach.
Yep, absolutely. They're about 2 inches tall.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, I definitely can see them from a distance. I am like ridiculously skilled in knowledge Numenera.
Yeah, and I'm going to be assisting, so that gives
Absolutely.
him another.
In fact, I'm specialized in knowledge Numenera.
Mhm. Yeah.
So what's normally a task 5 difficulty drops down to a 3 thanks to the specialization. With Melia's help, it drops down to a 2.
Okay.
Gale's special ability, Expert Helper, allows him to offer assistance, providing more help even though he's not trained in a skill. So he'll be able to bump it down to a task 1 difficulty with his help.
Sure. I already know that, group work is always better than by yourself. All right, so I begin like discussing each of the different symbols and their short meanings to the two of them. But I say so in hushed tones, not in this sense to hide what I'm saying, but because I'm thinking. When I'm thinking, I speak quietly, but I speak directly toward them. So anybody outside the room will just sound like we're whispering a whole bunch. I got a 4, so success.
Alright, so as you're looking at the buttons, you can tell that they're an activation switch for the trapdoor. Now, what the order is, you don't really know, but judging from the looks on the buttons, they're all pressed an equal amount, being if the code is 4 buttons long, each button will be pressed once. Or if the code is 8 buttons long, each button will be pressed twice. No button is pressed more or less than another.
Okay. Well, I have no personal reference myself to judge what the moon or red M stands for. So, but my character having the knowledge of this material, I'm assuming can make some sort of connections between them. If they're like an alphabet, he would try to spell out a word. If they're related to a date, he would try to make sure to put the date in properly. And now that we've explored it and we have a good understanding, the three of us have come to a conclusion of what they represent. Can we discern like a pattern or an order at which they need to be pressed?
Right, absolutely. Which character, if people can recall, studied, the study earlier this session? I believe it was Gale and Melia, but I could be wrong on that.
It was not me.
No, it was you, Max.
Was it
Because
me
you
in the
found the
study?
diary. Yeah, you found a diary or a book with something written in it, and you picked it up.
Oh, the study, the tower study. Yes, that was me.
Yes.
I thought you were referring to the kitchen, the other room I studied.
All right.
No, I went to the kitchen.
So, Max, you don't get the sense that the symbols mean anything in particular, being they must hold some special resemblance or some special importance to Baron Tychronus, if Baron Tychronus did put them in. However, you do remember seeing something like that on the diary that you picked up.
Okay. I will utilize the diary, and since I can use hedge magic, I'll make the diary float while I read it, and it'll turn the pages on its own. Let's get some really cool magic going here.
Wonderful. So you cast Hedge Magic, and an open book from the desk kind of lifts up and wafts right over to you. And I can imagine that you're standing on one side of the book and everyone's standing on the other. And with Hedge Magic, pages are flipping, and you see scribbled, handwritten notes about the tactics of battle, and you're not seeing any of the symbols. However, Melia, Gale, and Nobody, if you're still in the room, I believe Nobody stepped out for the axe.
Yep.
So, Melia and Gale, you can see the four symbols extremely clearly on the spine of the book. Going from the top of the spine down to the bottom,
Oh, that's
you can
good.
tell that the bluish circle is first, then the green half moon, then the red M, and then finally the pair of white horizontal lines.
While
Leon, you're still flipping through the book, and just nothing is making any sense.
It's in here. I know it is.
while he is continuing searching for the symbols, I go over to the wall and press them in the order they appear on the book spine.
Yeah. And while he's after I see that, I just sort of say, you're trying to find you're trying too hard, and I
No, I'm not.
close the book, turn it so that he can see turn it so he can see the spine while it's still in midair.
I'm gonna roll, and if I roll poorly, it represents my character's inability to focus beyond people, because he is not a people person, and a people person just snatched his book from him, and so he's trying not to be incredibly angry. 11 means that, in my opinion, he's gonna be like, oh.
Yeah.
But Gale was
All right.
doing stuff.
So as Leon kind of has a real moment of realization mixed in with a little bit of embarrassment. Amelia is kind of smugly smiling to herself, pointing out, the clearly obvious answer. Gale punches in the code, and as he does so, the trapdoor behind him flips downward and opens. It's hard to see down, down the hole. About the drop to the floor is about 30 feet, and the lighting down there is not great, quite frankly. The main source of light is coming from the study, the room you are in, but you do get a soft green glow or a soft green reflection coming from within.
Let's see.
Is there any like lighting on the wall in the study? Like what kind of lighting is there for it?
The study itself has a giant window that is letting in the daylight.
Alright then. I go and grab one of the books off of the bookshelf and drop it just to see if we can still hear it from the drop.
Yeah, absolutely. So you do drop it, and your eyes follow it down. You're watching extremely carefully. You manage to actually keep your eyes on the book, and as it hits the ground, you can't really hear anything, but as it hits the spine, the pages kind of explode open as it bounces a little bit, and after that first bounce, it comes back to a rest on the ground. Um, can't hear a single thing, unfortunately, though.
I suggest that we go into the search rope or something to help us get down without getting killed in the process.
I have a rope.
So, while all three of you are figuring out what's going on with the hole, let's flip over to James. James, what is nobody doing in the shed?
I went out to the shed, walked in, did a little bit of a fit rage with nobody else around. Kicked a few things, and finally, after about 2 minutes of raging and yelling at no one in particular, I smooth down my shirt, I compose myself, I run my hand through my hair, and I go, we're good. Nobody died yet. Nobody got hurt yet. And I still have my dignity. And I walk back.
All right. And as you're walking back, you see the backs of all three of your companions facing you, as well as the hindquarters of the Seski, and they're all standing around the center of the room, and their heads are kind of lowered as they're peering down at something. And as you follow your gaze, or their gaze, down, you can see just this black pit right in front of them.
All right. While they're all intently just looking down, I come between, or right next to Leon, and I just look down and I go, what are we looking at?
slightly startled, but not in the sense to jump out of my wits. Gale dropped a book. It's just really dark down there. We're trying to figure out where to tie a rope off to. Did you find that axe? I look him up and down, realizing he has no axe.
I was supposed to get an axe? Tell you what. I look around the room. I am looking for the sturdiest thing for tying something off at. Like, is there some design in the bookshelves that we could tie off to them, because I am assuming they are built into the walls? I'm also taking a look at this map here.
As far as the map goes, there is some furniture in the other room.
Yep, absolutely. There is some furniture in the other room, as this is a study. There is a desk in this room. Other than that, all of the bookcases seem to be built right into the wall, so you don't get the sense that you can snake a rope behind it. Nobody, as you're thinking about this, however, you seem to recall that you have a couple screws and nails in your bag of light tools, and perhaps your companions might have similar items that, in the lack of having something secure, you'll be able to nail something or screw something into the floor to create your own anchor.
Very true. And since there is no guarantee that we will be here when the Baron gets back, I start reaching in. I'm going to go back to our room because I left my main pack there, and bring all my stuff, so I've got it all at hand.
All right.
Now I will start pulling out my tools. And I'm going to start looking over this floor in the best manner to put things in, so that we've got a sturdy place for the rope.
Alrighty. Robin, you've been quiet for a little bit. What is Melia doing?
As soon as he's back with the rope, I'm going to go get the rest of my stuff, because this is looking like a breaking and entering job, and I want to have one weapon in case we find something. Since my grave is defunct at the moment.
Absolutely. And Gale, as everyone starts compiling all of their equipment, you're struck with a sudden realization. Everyone has hands. Seskis don't have hands. How is your Seski, Bjorn, going to get down? Just a sudden realization that hit you.
I'm thinking of tying him down, like, depending on how big the rope is, tying the rope to us and lowering it down.
All right.
About how far down did that go?
You can't really tell, but your best guess would be, um, hmm. Roll an insight check for me, or not insight, intellect. And if you have perception as a skill, you'll be able to modify the difficulty. It will be a task 3, but again, with perception, it goes down to a task 2.
I do not have perception. However, I do have an edge in it.
An edge in intellect? Absolutely.
Yep.
So you still have all 16 points in your intellect pool. If you want to use a level of effort to bring it from a task 3 down to a task 2, you can spend 2 points of intellect.
I will do that.
All right.
And you said a task 2.
Absolutely.
I did not get it. I have a 1 on the die.
You have a 1. All right.
Wow.
So, I love this. I was going to hand out so many GM intrusions, but I don't need to anymore. As you're standing over the edge and you're peering down into this hole, you're standing, you're staring, you're leaning over, and you're just so intent on focusing, trying to figure out how far it goes. You don't hear Bjorn Galeseski start to wander around the study, getting a little bit bored. And as you're peering over, Bjorn kind of nuzzles a little bit at your back, and I'm going to make you do a speed test, difficulty 4, in order to. Because you're startled, you're going to jump. And if you succeed, you'll be able to jump over the hole. But if you fail, you're going to, give a little bit of a hop right into the hole. So speed task difficulty 4.
Yeah, I did not get that one.
Alright. So you're standing, you're staring, you're leaning, and you feel this wet little nose nuzzling up against you, and you have no idea what it is. So as you turn to react, your foot kind of slips and you go tumbling into the hole. You fall down and you hit something spongy. It's dank, it's grimy. The best way to describe it is if you've ever fallen into, or if you've ever gone into a field full of mushrooms, you get that kind of earthy, slightly rotten smell, and that just hits you like a wave of bricks. But the good news is it is soft and spongy. You will be taking.
It's quite filthy down here.
You will be taking 1 point of might damage as you hit the ground.
Oh my goodness, we've got a new picture.
You do. So, as nobody looks around, he sees this half circular chamber. The roof itself is domed, and soft green, what looks like eggs, are growing everywhere within this room.
That's disgusting.
There are hundreds upon hundreds of glistening green egg-like structures mounted within it, and they range anywhere in size from about 6 inches or 15 centimeters all the way to being as tall as a human.
Okay, looking around a moment. I look up at the hole. Now that I've got a better viewpoint on things, about how far is it to the hole to where I'm at?
From within, because it's a lot easier to see something that's lit up versus the dark floor, you can tell it's about um 30 feet down.
Would someone do me a favor? Go find the slaves and see if they've got any extra rope. We've got about 30 feet, and I would like to have a little bit extra because I'm going to look around the room. I don't want to fall off the mountain.
I don't understand. How can you fall off the mountain? You're in a hole.
Yes, but there are quite a few things down here that look like eggs.
Chicken eggs.
As far as I know, chickens do not lay eggs that are as big as I am.
Good point.
Are you okay down there? Nobody? Is there like anything else other than the eggs?
I turn around just to see what happened to what I landed on.
Alright. So you look around and you can see a small indentation of where you landed, but you landed in a small little clearing. And you can tell that, whether people hop down the hole or climb down a ladder or a rope, that whenever anyone comes down this hole, whoever that someone may be, they always end up in this small little area. So it is kind of cleared out, padded down, etc. As you're looking around around the room, you take a better look at a couple of the eggs, as it were, and despite their appearance, the green structures aren't eggs. You think for a moment, and a better analogy might be seed pods or fungal fruiting bodies. And as you get kind of closer to one of the pods, you can see the twisted remains of a human corpse hidden within.
Bernie, come.
Leon? 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 Every time I say it, my voice is getting louder.
I apologized when
Leon.
he said get the slaves. I did walk away.
Someone get me out of here. I think I figured out what happened to everybody that fell off the mountain. And I am drawing my rapier as I'm turning slowly in a circle right beneath the hole. Get me out of here!
I toss down what rope we have while holding on to one end, and for him to grab onto, so we can pull him up.
I am very thankful that you clarified that because if you had just said I had tossed down the rope, you would have seen one end go down and the rope kind of slithering down, kind of trailing down, and then you realize, oh shoot, the other end isn't secured. And with a slithering sound as rope kind of scrapes against the floor, you see the other end go down. But no, you are successfully able to hold on to one end and throw down the other. Nobody, as you're looking around the room, you actually see an exit along the southern side.
All right. Looking around and not seeing any other movement, I'm going to look at the remains. Other than, skeleton and probably a little bit of meaty bits, any clothing, weapons, anything that might signify male, female, who it might have been.
Sure. So as you take a closer look, you can see something that resembles uh, something like a small little serpent-like creature, as well as another flat, kind of broad-headed worm. And in each pod, the worm is kind of attached to the back of the human, and the serpent, the larger serpent, is kind of coiled around the legs. However, you can clearly tell that some of the humans are male, some are female, some of them are, old, some of them are young. You get the sense that these are the missing people that you entered Uxfin to find.
All right. Looking around, making sure that none of these serpents, none of these vines are creeping up on me. I'm sheathing my rapier. I'm grabbing onto the rope, and I'm going to do my best to climb.
Certainly. So as you grab onto the rope, I'm going to ask you to make an intellect roll for me. Difficulty 5.
Ouch. I will actually. I want to bring it down by 1.
Certainly. So with 1 point of intellect edge, you only have to spend 2 points.
Picking him
All
up
right.
was a bit difficult that time. I pulled on some of his flabby stuffs.
Yeah.
He's fine though.
No, I did not get it.
No, alright. So yeah, as you grab onto the rope, you're just thinking, oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man, gotta get out of here. This is freaking me out. You grab onto the rope and make a might check. Gale, you're still holding onto the rope. You haven't tied it down anywhere, so you're also going to have to make a might check. For both of you, it'll be a difficulty 3.
Wow.
Okay. So
I'm not going anywhere.
Nobody, you grab onto the rope and you start climbing like your life depends on it. And Gale, for the most part, he's pulling back on the rope. He's struggling, he's straining, and you, Gale kind of feels his feet slide a little bit on the wooden floor, and as you get to about the halfway point in the rope, you just hear a startled yell from above, and Gale comes falling down right next to you, with you plummeting back down to the floor.
All right.
So you're both now in this egg chamber, for lack of a better term. Gale, because you're falling from the very top, you will be taking one more might damage. Nobody, you fell from about the halfway point, so you're safe.
All right. When we both end up on the bottom, we're just kind of lying there looking up at the hole.
Absolutely.
So how are you today? Everything going well up there?
It was fabulous until you had the pull extra hard and just to pull me down.
Are you saying I am fat? I am overweight? That I thought you were the one that was supposed to be able to do so much. I mean, look at that. Your Sesky is looking at us, and I swear it's smiling and laughing at us right now.
Oh, that just means he's laughing at you for how you can, like, seriously, how would you not able to just climb a rope? You had the
If I may point something out before we get into arguing, you may want to sit up and look in that direction. And I point in the direction that he will be looking when he sits up. I found all of the missing people.
I scream ecstatically, and yeah.
Shh, you might draw their attention.
Alright, so yeah, Gale, you're sitting up, you take a closer look at your surroundings and you see half-eaten, half-decomposing bodies within these egg-like pods. And you let out a screech, and it just echoes within this cavernous room. You know, the walls, while the floor is covered in this soft, spongy fungi, and some of the walls are as well, which serve to help dampen the sound. The rest of the walls are just hard stone. So any sound that hits them just bounces off and reverberates until eventually it dies out. So your one little scream, as it were, before nobody can shush you, seems to echo for about 5 seconds.
We definitely need hazard pay. Definitely, yes. Hazard pay is first thing on the list. I am going to write a severely worded complaint about the condition of the Lord's study, and they should fire whoever cleans this place. And
You do remember
where's that rope?
Alright,
right?
and speaking of where's the rope, which at this point is half underneath you and half on top of you. Let's flip over to Robin and Max. Robin, you're muted.
Thank you. Sorry. I went to get my pack. I come back and there's study. There's no one in the study.
And I'm coming
There's
back to the study
nobody
as
in the
well.
study.
I'm coming back as well, realizing that the kitchen staff are no assistants, and I have found a spool of twine in the kitchen. Luckily the spool of twine is over 200 feet long, and like Amelia, I find that there is nobody in the study. We should say no one in the study.
Yeah.
Yes, nobody is below the study.
I turn to Amelia and say, "Where do you think?" And then we hear, "Ah!" And yeah, that answers that question very quickly, right?
Perhaps there are dead people there.
Oh man.
I go.
Well, it is
Obviously,
10 after 8. We have a chance for a short break before we continue on. And when we get back, we can see how things go. This will give me a chance to take care of my dishes and recharge my drink. We'll be back in about 5 minutes. Could be 10, but most likely it's just going to be 5. So, and break screen.
government every day. You see, I obey the government every day. The question is when the government will obey me. I obey the government every day. I obey. Because it's a wonder war and the constant deception. The lies in the media, we're no children anymore. Because I don't want government every day. You see, I obey the government every day. The question is when the government will obey me. I obey the government every day. I obey because it's a war and the constant deception, the lies in the media, we're no children anymore. Because it's a war and the constant deception, the lies in the media, we're no children anymore. Because it's a war and the constant deception, the lies in the media, we're no children anymore. Because it's a war and the constant deception, the lies in the media, we're no children anymore. See, I don't want the war. See, I don't want See, I don't want destruction. No more destruction. No more destruction. No more. If there is such thing as love, we should all be loving each other. Fuck them and their banks and their monetary lies. I am just a simple human who wants to live a beautiful life. I don't need no credit, no bailout, no MasterCard. You see, I obey the government every day.
And we're back.
Welcome back, everyone. So, before our break, we saw Nobody fall into the hole. Not literally nobody, but the character Nobody fall into the hole while peering down into it. In an attempt to fish him out, we had Melia and Leon scamper out of the room in order to pick up their own tools. And Gale, kind of impatient, threw down one end of the rope, and as Nobody was climbing the rope, Gale ended up slipping a little bit and fell down into the hole with him. At the start of the break, we had Leon and Amelia alerted by the noise of Gale screaming and rushing back into the study. And here's where we will begin.
I think they may have found our unfortunately for them. Fortunately for me.
But I don't hear anybody else down there but them.
I give him kind of a look. I don't think they are alive.
Uh. Uh. Oh, that's terrible. We're supposed to find her. We're supposed to find her sister. I was thinking we would find her alive. Oh.
Sometimes bad things happen. And I go and start. I've got iron spikes in my kit. I got 3 spikes and a hammer, so I go to the edge and start hammering in a spike about 6 inches. Now make it a foot from the hole.
Alright. So you take your hammer, you take your spike, and you start nailing it down into the wooden floor. And about a foot away, you keep hammering until the spike is, well, let's say about 6 inches sticking out. The spike itself is 8 inches long, so you've stuck it 2 inches down. You can keep going if you want, and if so, just let me know how far down you hammer.
I'm going to do about 4 and 4. So
4 and
4
4?
inches sticking out.
Alright. So you've hammered down that spike.
And then I tie my rope, one end around about a foot and a half sticking out here, and then I tie the rest of it and drop it down.
Alright.
Drop the loose end down.
And as you drop it down, Bjorn, Gale's Seski companion, kind of looks down into the hole and whimpers a little bit.
Your creature is unhappy, Gale. Is something going on down there?
Just there's a lot of death down here, if that's what you mean.
Can you bring one up? It might help us find out what happened.
I mean, well, is the rope secure this time?
Should be.
Alright then, I tug on the rope to make sure it's secure and in place.
Alright, so yeah, you give it a solid tug, and the rope seems to be secure.
Alright, so I grab one of those spores or eggs or whatever and climb up the rope with it.
Sure, so as you reach out to grab a spore, I'm going to ask you to make an intellect defense roll. So if you don't have intellect defense as a trained ability, feel free to just make an intellect roll. It will be a task 5 difficulty.
Alright then, I'm gonna use effort and for that, my one up effort for that.
Sure thing. So you do have 1 level of edge, or 1 edge in intellect. So it will only cost you 2 points instead of 3.
Okay.
Now that you've used your level of effort, uh, you are now rolling a task for difficulty.
All right. I rolled a 9 and I did not succeed.
All right. Um, so you have no idea what's going on, but you're unaware of anything, and as you grab the spore or the egg pod, and you move over to the rope and go to tie it on, I will ask you to make a quick speed defense roll. It will be a difficulty 5.
All right. Oh, yeah. Just roll.
All
Oh, I
right.
got 20. One success.
So you got a 20. That's wonderful. That's a major effect. So as you pick up the pod and you move over to the rope, you look down and you see a long coiled serpent at the very bottom, and it looks like it's kind of sleeping. But something's wrong with this pod. And you look over to another pod and you can see a serpent at the bottom and a little worm-like creature perched on the back of each individual human. And you look down at the pod again, and you don't see this creature in this pod, but you do see a small hole that wasn't there before. And, that kind of startles you, and as you back up, uh, you step on something kind of squishy. And as you look down, you see the worm-like creature underneath your foot, and it's kind of writhing about and squirming about underneath. And you did manage to step on it, dealing 4 points of damage. With that said, though, it's still alive. Um, and with that, I'm going to have everyone roll initiative. It is a speed task. If anyone's trained in initiative, that's a +3. But everyone just needs to roll a d20.
And I have my luck with initiative.
Well, at least your +3 will make it worthwhile.
And I rolled an 8 in James's stead. So we have a roll of 11 for Leon, a roll of 6 for Melia, and a roll of 8 for both Nobody and Gale. The target number to beat for this was 3, so everyone who has above 9, being Leon, can act first. Anyone below a 9 can choose in what order they want to go in, but the monster will act before them. So, Leon, you're looking down the hole. You see your companion pick up a spore, move towards the rope, kind of yell out in shock, and step back, and you can hear quite audibly a little squishing sound as a creature emits a high-pitched whine or scream.
Oh man.
What do you do?
Um, the pod. Will my hedge magic make it float up this direction? Man, that's. Will my hedge magic be strong enough to cause the pod to float up to us?
Not not a full-size pod. You can lift up a smaller pod, like one of the 6-inch ones. But those are for the most part. Well, yeah, you'll be able to lift up a smaller 6-inch pod, not a human-sized one.
Okay, and I am assuming that Amelia's power only works on, like, humans. She can't speak to dead rats.
She can. Whether or not she can understand the dead rats is another question.
Have I ever seen her contemplating or speaking to dead animals?
Amelia, has he?
Um, not in a way you think I expect here what they say.
Right. Okay, fair enough. So, man, I don't have anything that I can easily do from here. All my magical abilities are close range or Numenera based. And looking at my Numenera, I have an oddity that's a wooden rod that grows 1 inch in a month. So if we can wait a while, I'll hit it from here with my growing stick. Like 60 years. If we can take 60 years for this turn, then I'll hit it with my growing stick.
So you do have a ray emitter, which you can use.
And it's a magnetic wave. I'm not too sure what that means, but magnetic waves generally only work on metal. Maybe you can explain it to me.
Sure. So typically speaking, a ray emitter shoots out destructive energy equal to the cipher's level. With it being a magnetic wave, the energy will be a magnetic wave of energy. So you would be correct in thinking it would only really have an effect if there's metal in the surrounding area or you're using it on a metallic object.
Okay, what about a phase changer?
Pulling that up, phase changer, you said?
Mm-hmm.
Puts the user out of phase for 1 minute. During this time, the user can pass through solid objects as though she were entirely insubstantial, like a ghost.
Excellent. Not useful at this point in time, but if I can use my action to hedge magic a book off the shelf and into my hand, I will then hurtle it down the hole as accurately as possible and try to hit the worm thing.
Absolutely.
That's what I got. Hopefully I don't hit Gale.
So you don't need hedge magic per se in order to do it. The desk is quite near. You can just reach over and pick one up. But yeah, no, you can definitely use hedge magic if you want
I
to
want to
make the
use the
book
hedge
float
magic
into your
to
hand.
float and then magic like fling it down there, like magic throw.
Sure thing.
Because I'm a
So,
spellcaster. I gotta do the magic thing.
sure. So you will have to physically throw it, though. As Hedge Magic says, it cannot harm an object or a creature.
Okay.
Uh, so yeah, you make the book float over to your hand. You take a second to aim, and then you just throw it down into the hole. Make a speed attack roll. Difficulty 4.
I did
Someone's
not
going to
make
die.
it.
Someone's going to die.
I did not make it. I didn't get a 1 either.
All right. So yeah, no, you chuck it down, and you figure if it was a ball, of uniform weight, you would have hit it. You would have got it
Yes.
dead on.
It would have been great.
But a book kind of opens up and flaps around a little bit,
Yeah.
and it kind of floats down or um, drifts down or falls down rather, and then kind of veers off to one side. And yeah, no, you don't make it.
Okay, I tried. Is there anything else I can do in my round?
If you want to move around the hole, if you want to hop down, you can, or you can shout out something.
No, I don't have any desire to yell nor get down into the hole because there might be more things. So I'm good where I'm at. It's safe here.
Perfect.
Nobody will
Uh,
get hurt.
So that's the end of Leon's turn. With that, we come around to the uh, Nagaina Defender. Um, so just to reiterate, it's a tiny creature. It's about 2 feet long, eyeless face, toothy maw. Its body is covered in tiny little cilia um, that it uses to move around. And as it kind of reacts to getting stepped on, it scurries out of the way as soon as Gale lifts up his foot, and then kind of launches itself right back at Gale again. So Gale, I'm going to have you make another speed defense action. It will be a difficulty 3. Alright, so with a roll of 2, you fail. So uh, it jumps on you and it kind of squirms up your leg, freaking you out. And it crawls up onto your back and sinks its teeth right into right into the middle of your back, right above your spine. And it kind of just sinks in and sticks there. You can't quite reach it. Your arms aren't long enough. You're not quite flexible. So as you flail around, there's nothing you can really do. But it's just latched on right onto your back. You will be taking 3 points of might damage as it does this.
So,
And with that, the Nagaina defender's turn is over. So we have Melia, Nobody, and Gale yet to go. Like I said, all 3 of you can choose which order you want to go in. If you want to follow initiative by the number, or if you want to say Nobody goes first and then Gale, and then Melia. It's all up to you.
Uh, I was gonna honestly say one of them can go first, especially with the panic for Gale of having something bite him.
Oh,
Right.
I have the danger sense, so since he's the one getting attacked, but I think I felt something, probably noticed something really wrong. So if he can go first if he wants. Gail.
All right, then shit. Am I grab my knife and try to reach it to see if I can reach it with that. Like grab onto its end and reach it with that.
Alright. So you grab onto your knife, you kind of reach around your back, but you can't quite reach it, unfortunately.
All right, then there's nothing else to do. I asked nobody for help with this. Like, damn. So
Okay.
Alright, so nobody, you have your rapier out already. What do you do?
I actually, looking at his back, and it's stabbed into his spine.
Yeah, it's a long worm with little, kind of like tentacles, if you don't know what Celia is.
Yep.
And it's climbed onto his back. Its mouth, its toothy maw, is open and is biting down hard into his back, just where the spine starts. And it's clinging onto him with the rest of his body, with a cilia.
Like a leech.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. I looking the quick glance over. I am actually going to search myself real quick, realizing I have something on me that will help, and I pull out my ray emitter.
All right.
It is a numbing ray emitter.
Allows the user to project a ray of energy up to 200 feet that numbs one limb of the target, making it useless for 1 minute. Alright, so feel free to do that. It will be an intellect task in order to hit it. Difficulty 4.
All right.
And
I'm actually gonna do this simple. Uh, is he? Are you panicking? Are you jumping around like get it off? Or are you?
Absolutely. So, Gale, what is your character doing during all of this?
my character is just desperately trying to get it off of his back, probably like spinning in circles, doing whatever he can to try to grab it off.
Sure. So yeah, I would definitely say panicking would be a fair term to use here. And we've just lost James in the phone call.
Yep.
Or in the Discord call. Um, Robin, do you want to take an action at all while this is going on? And
I'm
we wait for
gonna
James to reconnect?
I'm gonna jump down and so hold still and take the knife from Gale and try to the try to stab the thing through the top of its head down.
Alright, yeah, you can definitely try to impale it top to bottom
Yeah.
with Gale's knife. You do take 1 point of damage as you fall.
I'm not paying
Uh,
any attention to that. I am focused on what I do. What I'm
absolutely.
to do.
Uh, yeah, so you do take 1 point of damage as you land and you stand up to your feet. You're kind of shaken. You manage to grab Gale by both of his shoulders and stop him from spinning just long enough that you can wrest the knife out of his panicked hands. You spin him around one more time until you're facing the back. You lift up the knife and you bring it down towards the defender. I'm going to make you roll either a might or a speed attack, whichever one you wish to use.
Speed, I think, is speed, and I'm going to spend effort.
Perfect. Um, so it's a difficulty 4 with effort. We do have a house rule in play where typically in Numenera and Cipher, if you use effort on an attack, you can either decrease the difficulty by 1 step or add 3 additional points of damage. My house rule just seeks to simplify that. If you use a level of effort, you do both effects.
All right. So let's see.
Uh, so you drive down the knife. Task 4 difficulty with effort. It's now a task 3.
Oh, sorry. I will keep rolling before 12.
All right. So a knife is a light weapon. It deals 2 points of damage. With the 1 level of effort you put in, it deals 5 points of damage. The creature attached to Gale's back, writhes just enough that you don't impale it, but you score a deep gash down its side. It's still stuck on, but the uh, as the knife goes down its side, Gale, you feel a shocking sensation as though someone just raked a knife down your own back, and you similarly take 5 points of damage.
So, what's that? Do I have that too?
So whenever you take damage, unless I specify a pool to take the damage to, you will be taking the damage to your might pool first. And if you run out of might, then you'll be taking damage to your speed. And when you run out of speed, you take damage to your intellect. Some abilities and some attacks will do intellect damage instead of might, but every single time that comes up, I will let you know. Uh, so, for all intents and purposes, right now you're taking 5 points of might damage.
Okay.
All right. Um. So, James, are you with us again? I see you're back in the call.
Yes.
All right. So, just to catch you up with what happened, um, Gale was squirming around, trying to get it off, trying to reach around his back with a knife, wasn't able to reach it, and Melia, with her danger sense ability, sensed something was up, and sensed that Gale was in mortal danger. So she bravely jumped down into the hole. Taking the 1 point of damage, she grabbed Gale's shoulders, took the knife out of his hands, spun him around, and with the knife just raked it down the side of the Nagana defender. And as she did that, scoring 5 points of damage, Gale similarly felt that searing pain down his own back and also took 5 points. And that's where we're at right now. You're standing there, rapier in hand, your numbing ray emitter in the other hand. You're looking at your two companions now. They're one in front of the other. Amelia with knife in her hand, dripping with green blood. And Gale just standing there with a shocked, pained expression.
Okay. Does it look like it's still squirming around? Or
Absolutely. It's weak, but it's still squirming a little bit.
seeing that hurting it hurt him, I'm going to go ahead and shoot it with the numbing ray. I'm going to have to use a proxy for rolling since my power is out.
Sure, I can roll for you.
Right.
With your two companions so close together, you kind of have to step around to their side and aim it very, very carefully.
I'm actually going to step in close to him so that I've got the numbing ray like 6 inches away from the creature.
Sure thing. So with that, it will be a task 6 difficulty because both pairs of, or the pair of people are just writhing around, and the Nagana defender itself is similarly squirming around, trying to avoid any future stabbings.
I'm going to put some effort into it.
Absolutely. So you have 1 level of effort. Intellect task drops you down by 2 points. As I said, it's a task 6. It drops down to a task 5.
Am I able to add helper to this, or does that not apply here?
Very good question. I will look into the ability for the next session, but as far as I know, it doesn't have a combat utility. You have which descriptor?
I'm pretty sure it's for the expert helper. Let me go check the page.
You have altruistic.
The altruistic for my descriptor.
When you use your action to help someone else, they gain an asset even if you're not trained in them. So because it says you use your action, you've already kind of used your action this round, which was freaking out and trying to score an attack. So you don't have an action to spend.
Okay.
So it will be a task 5 difficulty to hit, and just pulling that up, it's an 18.
Awesome.
So it does numb it, and it goes kind of limp. And similarly, Gale, you just don't feel anything from your back anymore. In fact, it's so bad that you can't really move your legs either. It's like the entire part of your body from your chest down. You can't move it at all.
I'm waiting for him to face plant into the ground.
Fortunately, Amelia's standing behind him, one shoulder or sorry, one hand still on his shoulder from steadying him from earlier. Knife raised up again, and she feels him go kind of limp and fall. Amelia,
Yeah,
if you want to
drop.
try and catch him,
Yeah, I drop the knife and try and grab him underneath the armpits and hold him up that way.
absolutely. So yeah, you managed to drop the knife off to the side. No one's injured, and you wrap your arms underneath his arms and kind of support him. You can't really pick him up, but you can lower him down to the ground safely.
I make sure there's no snake things on the ground before where I
There
lie him.
aren't, but your weird sense gives you the idea that each one of these pods is filled with another one of these creatures.
I think you should kill that one so we can get out of here.
I think you are right. I say in equal. It's like then sort of take with the numb one. I go and stomp on it several times.
Sure. So it is still attached
Okay,
to
then
Gale's
never
back,
mind. I don't
and
stomp on it. I find the knife and I cut between it and
sure.
since
So
it's
you go
numb.
so you go to pick up the knife. You roll Gale over onto his stomach, and you lower the knife down. And as you're about to scrape it in the knife in between the Nagina defender and Gale's spine, you see something really weird happen. It's as though the cilia um, kind of just fall into his back, and the entire body of this worm just dissolves and leaches right into the body of Gale.
I drop it, pull, go intervenom up the.
So, Gale or Austin, your character is completely healed as this happens. All of your pools are completely restored. Furthermore, choose either might or speed and add 1 to your edge in either stat.
Whoa. Okay.
Can I? Well, is my. I'm gonna pause and go. What the hell just happened?
Why don't you stay and investigate? I'm gonna go up there while you stay down here and investigate.
Yeah, I'm gonna see. Is that at all related to the NUMENERA? Because
Um, the creatures in of themselves aren't Numenera in nature, and you can definitely tell that that's not a side effect of the numbing ray.
Am I able
It's
to
more.
to move and talk and stuff for that?
Pardon?
Am I able to You said my guy was fully healed for all that. Is my guy still numbed or can he speak at all?
Yeah, no, he's still numbed, but like I said, he's from about the armpit shoulder region down. That's where he's numbed out. Essentially, if someone uh, numbed your spine out so that nothing could travel up and down your spine, or if someone drove a knife into your back, you would lose the function of your legs. Um, that's kind of where the numbing sensation comes into play. So you can still move your arms, you can still move your neck, your head, you can still speak. Um, but that's where that comes into play. And as for Robin's question about the weird Numenera, the creatures in of themselves aren't Numenera, but where uh, the weird sense comes into play is you've never seen this before. It's completely foreign, almost alien to you.
Is it? Does it
Uh,
feel dangerous? This dissolving or whatever into him?
I'm going to have you make an intellect roll for that.
Okay.
Difficulty 4.
All right. I'm gonna drop some another effort into that because I don't want to make mistakes. This
Sure.
so. All right, 12. I succeed.
Perfect. Um, so you get the sense that over time, the the small little worm will consume the body of Gale in order to create another serpent creature
Okay.
similar to the pod. But you don't know how long that'll take, and you
Okay.
don't know any of the possible side effects to that. But looking around at the room, you get the sense that you're fairly
Yeah.
certain.
Yeah. I hear as I'm concentrating. I sort of hear the death cries of all the people. That's how I feel it. That's how I interpret. But I yell. I go for my belt, pull out the anti-venom and hope that works.
Sure. So yeah, you pull out the half bottle of pills, and I'm guessing you're gonna shove it down his throat.
Yeah.
All right. So
Like
yeah, no, you. And Gail, how do you react to your companion taking out a bottle of pills and trying to feed them to you?
Consider considering where we got them from and what's been happening to all the people, I am surprised and don't like it. Don't want it to happen.
no, no. This is good stuff. This is good stuff. It will stop and if he if he struggles, I say we know this is not poisonous, but I'm trying to kill the thing that crawled in you.
But it made me feel better though. Like, is it bad? Did you see something
Yes,
with it?
it's going to eat you from
Uh,
inside.
you can't be serious. You're messing with me. This isn't.
I swear to you on the I find this it will.
And as like I find that out, I like grab the bottle of pills and I just like take all of them.
You're up. You decide you're going to
Okay,
process.
yeah, no, you take the bottle of pills and you flip the cap off with one thumb and you kind of throw back your head and tilt the bottle, letting them all fall right to the back of your throat. And as soon as you feel the first one uh, hit your throat, you start swallowing, and you don't stop swallowing until there's nothing left in your mouth. And you don't feel any different. You don't feel better, you don't feel worse. But yeah, you don't feel different.
All right.
Might need the other will the other dose help?
Sure.
Or
And Robin, if I can give you a GM intrusion.
yes?
Um, so just to reiterate, it has been quite a few weeks how a GM intrusion works. I can offer it to any player at any time. They can accept, get one experience for their own character, and then one experience to hand out to another character. Or you can refuse a GM intrusion, but in order to do that, you have to spend one experience point.
Okay.
Alright, so as Gale throws down the pills, you take a look at his back. You can still clearly see the bite marks. You can kind of make out an indentation of where the creature was. You get the sense that the creature's still in there. And you look around the room, looking at all of the pods, seeing the sleeping serpent and the leech attached to the back. You look at some of the half-eaten bodies, and they don't really have the sleeping serpent. You get the sense that it takes the consumption of the entire body of the human in order to fully kill it and create the sleeping serpent. And as you're looking around, you spot the small door to the south, and one of the dead seems to call out to you. Not literally, it's not speaking to you, but you get the sense that it's pointing at the door, telling you to go that way.
I
What's up?
I let's see. I'm going to say, wait, maybe here. And I'm going to accept it, and I'm going to give the point to Max because he is being the tech guy.
Absolutely. Uh,
Okay.
so Robin, Max, feel free to add one experience point to each of your characters. And Max, we haven't heard from Leon in a while. Um, this is all going on. You can't see perfectly clear what's going on,
Mm-hmm.
but you can make out the general gist of what's happening below.
Okay.
Robin's rope is still dangling down the hole. Um, and if you wanted to, you could climb down, or you can try to instruct people to come up. It's up to you at this point.
I'm definitely going to communicate. I've heard a lot of noise. I've heard a lot what's being said, so it's echoing. And
And a lot of script.
yeah, get it out, get it out, get it out. Yeah. So, I get a good sight on the creature?
Um, you can make out that it's kind of a worm-like,
Mm-hmm.
and it's longer than your forearm.
So,
Um,
with that
but you
limited
can't
knowledge,
make out.
will I be able to make like some sort of knowledge roll to see if I've read or know anything of it? The question is, how long does he have to live? 10 minutes? 10 hours?
Right. So yeah, you can definitely make a knowledge roll. Um,
Okay.
yeah.
Since I'm not very close to the person who helps me have good reception with the data spheres, I would like to, I guess, go down into the hole to try to tap into them. So maybe if it's to draw some extra knowledge or get some benefit to this roll, I'll be able to get an asset on a task involving I'm doing knowledge tap ability. It says, except in places where your access is cut off to the data spheres, you can tap in and briefly learn a bit more about something you can see. I saw it. You get an asset on a task involving that person or object. This is an action. It's costs 1 intellect. And so I'd like to, tap the data spheres and see if there's any knowledge of these. How did you say it? Nagadian defenders?
Nagaina Defender.
Nagaina defenders. And see if there's.
Think Naga and then INA. Nagaina.
Nagaina. So this is what I would have been doing during the whole process and discussion up to this point. Kind of like trying to make a phone call.
Absolutely. So I'm just going to pull up your speaks to the data sphere. That's character options 2, I believe. Because I don't want to sell you short or tell you too much. Yep, no, absolutely. So you use your 1 intellect point. You do have intellect edge, so it's completely free to use. And I'm guessing you kind of float a hand over nobody's head as he's your connection?
Yes. I mean, do I have reception down here?
Yeah, I
Okay.
mean, nobody's head is...
It's like an antenna.
Exactly.
Big, bulbing antenna.
Yeah, it's not Google Fiber fast, but it works.
If he waves his hand over my head more than a minute, I'm going to look at him. I'm going to lean over, pick up 1 foot, and point in a general direction with my opposite hand, and just kind of roll my eyes as I'm waiting for the next set of instructions for him to get access. Because
I'd pick his hand up a little bit more, put his leg back down, and adjust him like a pair of rabbit ears.
All right. So you use your knowledge tap ability, you kind of close your eyes, and something akin to the Matrix just floods your entire mind, and it reads out Nagaina Defender. It takes 28 days to consume its host. Until that time has passes, it actually helps imbue the host with extra strength or extra speed. The only thing that can remove the Nagaina Defender is its matron. And with that knowledge, or rather, the only thing that can remove the Defender from the host without killing it, without killing the host, is the Nagaina matron that born it. And with that, I just want to hop over to Austin, who wants to say something.
Hold for a moment. He's experiencing internet outage.
Hey, here we go. Alright. So, whenever I'm seeing Leon do the thing with the books, I want to see, like, can you do that to the snake or thing? Can you do that and get it out?
You want to know if I'm figuring things out to get the snake out of you? Is that...
No, with your ability or your thing to be able to make the books float and make the you made the hatch float. Are you able to get the thing
Oh,
out of there?
oh, okay. So I'm adjusting nobody at this point in time. My eyes are glowing, and he's standing there asking me this. Probably got blood on his hands because he's like stabbing at it and stuff. And I stop everything I'm doing. My eyes stop glowing. I'm sorry. I'm trying to make a phone call. Can you wait for a moment? It, please.
And just to clarify
I mean,
for Max and Leon, the defender is so entwined into Gale's nervous system at this point that there's absolutely no way to remove it without killing Gale.
oh, and as I see that there's like I realize that my character is. I'm gonna roll to see if my character is gonna pick up on the social cues there. Yes, yes, he sees that Gale is like really bothered by my. I'm sorry. No, my magic. I'm using my magic right now to learn how to remove it from your body. Um, I have some good news. It's going to take about a month for it to kill you, so we've got some time. Ah,
I slowly reach out and give him a thumbs up shakily as like good news. Yeah. Then I proceed to like just put my head on like because I'm paralyzed, right?
yeah, because he's still, like laying on the ground.
So I'm laying on the ground, like my bottom half's paralyzed. I reach up with my one of my arms, give a shakily thumbs up, and then slowly lay my head down and weep.
All right, I'm going to go back. The Naganian. Jesus.
Nagaina.
Nagaina. I'm writing it down. Nagaina matriarch. That's what I'm going to look up now.
Certainly. Just pulling that up because I wasn't aware we'd get that far. Nagaina Matron is a massive serpent, anywhere from 50 to about 70 feet. Her mouth is surrounded by tentacles,
Jesus.
15 feet long, most of which have been adapted, so they end in. Typically, they'll adapt their tentacles so they end in either cybernetic or bioengineered tools, syringes, or weapons. And I do have a photo that I will give to.
And at this point, is Bjorn the dog still like at the top of the hatch or
Oh
trapdoor?
yeah, no, Bjorn's kind of whimpering and whining at the top of the hole. So if you take a look
All
at
right.
your map real quick, that's what a Nagaina matron looks like.
Sadly, that's only something that I can see. I don't know if I don't have a digital display. There's no TVs. I can't project holograms. It's not something I can do. Wait, I think I can. Maybe. I don't know. It says I can change the color of a basic. Change the color or basic appearance of an object. So.
By this
Yeah,
point, I figure
you can
I'm
draw out a crude drawing on the ground if you want to.
Yeah, no.
It will be a crude
Yeah.
drawing, but
They just don't get to know.
by this.
Just describe it.
I figure, but I'm bent over a foot Or a finger touching the ground, my other foot is pointing straight up. And I just look at the other, like, don't ask.
All right, so I'm going to relay the information quickly and say that to get it removed, we have to. And how do we get the matriarch to actually remove it? Do we got to kill it, the matriarch? Because that would just be very on par with the whole kill everything motif.
We could always ask.
My apologies. It actually takes 28 weeks.
I still
So
said 1
you have a
month.
lot more time.
We're just going to say I
Alright.
read that wrong.
Yeah. For the Nagina matron to extract the defender, you don't get the sense of how the matron will. You get the sense that you'll need to ask. Or kill it. Killing it might work.
Yeah. Killing it might work. Asking it might work. Okay, so I pop out of my eye glowy trance for a moment, put Nobody's feet down and hand down, and I go over to where everybody is clustered around Gale and say, the Nagainen worm that's inside you can only be removed safely by its matriarch. And the data spheres, all great and knowing as they are, do not have good information on how that works.
Do we know where it is, at least?
No.
Oh boy.
I was reading a book that you cannot see. That's all I was doing just then.
No, yeah, with the eye glowy thing, like you couldn't. What were you watching, like a television, or like was it just?
It was a book that you could not see. It is a book that exists only in the stars. It is hard to explain to those people who do not understand, but that's
And
So
this so-called
everyone
book
has
that's so magnificent.
Everyone has a general sense on what the data sphere is, or at least has heard tales of it. It's essentially the internet. For simplicity's sake.
Yeah.
But no. So with this magnificent book of yours and all this all-knowing knowledge, you could not find where it was located.
Perhaps behind that door. Before he says anything, I say, perhaps behind that door, or at least that might be the start.
Well, anything out of this room would be good, because if we accidentally and all of us get infected by these things, then it will all be looking for the matriarch to save us. And gosh only knows if there's something else that the matriarch gained. Who knows what terrible things these things will do to us. Just take your anti-venom pills and we'll look for something to help prolong everything. We're learning. Why is he still numb? How long does this last?
It lasts for
1 minute. So
I
it's
don't know. I
starting to
didn't
wear off.
ask when I found.
So am I still paralyzed?
It's starting to wear off a little bit, yeah.
Is he like paralyzed to where he's
All right, but since
no longer able to move?
Yeah.
Alright,
You get
so,
the sense that his back is numb, can't really move it, and because his back is numb, it kind of paralyzes the rest of his body downwards. But yeah, no, it's starting to wear
Alright.
off, and
Now, ciphers are one use, right?
ciphers are indeed one use, yeah.
Okay. Since we've known each other for a while, and I did just use a cipher I am turning around and I am holding out my used ray emitter to Max. Since he likes messing around with them, even if they've been used.
Yeah, I'll definitely take it. I can play with it.
All right, and
Yeah.
since I'm still paralyzed and we're all gonna go out that door, I ask Leon and nobody to see if they can catch Bjorn if I have him jump down to meet us.
No. I'm not good at catching. I can make it to where he doesn't weigh as much and he falls a little slower, but he'll still probably get hurt.
Can you
So,
make him fall slower than one of the other two catch him? That way he does not get hurt.
I guess. I mean, I look to Leon and sorry, nobody and Amelia and like, who wants to catch him? Like, come on, guys, pony up, because I'm not doing it.
I am a people.
Doesn't like
I will try and
me.
help.
All you have to do is convince your pet to jump.
All right, and I signal to Bjorn, who's been my trusty animal for a long time, to jump down and try to land in nobody's arms.
And I cast hedge magic to make kind of like push up. I know it's not going to be much, but it's something.
All right. Nobody, I'm going to ask you to make 2 rolls, a speed roll, to see if you can actually catch him in time, like move around, shift your arms as his body hits yours. And then I'm going to ask you to make a might check to see if you can actually decelerate the body before it hits the ground. The first speed check will be 3, a difficulty of 3, and the might check will be a difficulty of 4.
All right. And since I do not have any edge in either of them, I cannot decrease it. Now,
Right, so if you want to use effort, you would have to pay the full 3 points in either pool.
all right. Now, what was the speed check? A 3 and a 4 for the might.
Speed at 3, 4 for might, yeah.
All right. Now, I take a moment while it's his friend is still up there, like circling the hole a moment, and I look at Milia and I go, if we work together and we kind of try catching him like this, it might be easier on both of us.
Fine.
So I am looking at, I don't know what that will do on either one of the checks on her
Yep,
helping
no,
me.
I will give you an asset on both checks. So now it's a difficulty 2 and a difficulty 3
All right.
for speed and might, respectively.
Okay, I'm just going to roll them both straight up at that. So here is the speed check. A 12. So
Wonderful.
we
Yeah,
get
no,
that.
you two are able to wrap your arms around the Seski as it falls, and let's just see if you're able to support the weight.
You know what? Simply because I had never touched it before, the moment it hits my arms and I go, ooh, I'm going to go ahead and spend the effort on the might check to bring it down to a 2.
Absolutely.
Not that it helped. We're going down.
Okay.
1 on the roll.
No. So, James, can you just describe how you and Melia were about to catch this Seski for me?
Well, I figure when
Like one on either side, kind of holding each other's forearms to catch
right
it
to kind of catch it
between
so
you.
that right so its legs were outside of our arms and we're trying to catch it like a net across its body.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, so the good news is you're able to catch it. The bad news is you can't slow it down fast enough, and your arms are about at shoulder height or just below shoulder height in order to give yourself enough room to slow it down. It hits the ground and it takes 1 point of might damage, and uh, as it drags your arms down, you and Amelia are both bracing for impact, and your arms are stiff. You're holding them tight, and it wrenching your arms down forces your heads to collide. You'll both take 1 point of intellect damage for that.
Oh my goodness.
As you're kind of shaken, you have a small headache now. Yeah.
And because that happened, because they saved Bjorn, Bjorn now has an attachment to nobody, and Bjorn does not have a hatred for Amelia yet now,
At the
Oh.
moment.
for the moment.
Okay, yeah, no, the Bjorn the Seski can definitely see, hey, that nobody, he really tried to save me. It's a pity Amelia messed it up and dropped me. Yeah, I can totally see
I
that.
had no involvement in any of this.
So yeah,
Doing
the
magic,
Seski,
so.
as soon as it hits the ground, kind of yelps out in a little bit of pain, and stares or glares over at Amelia for a second, and then begins licking nobody's face, trying to make him feel better.
Thank you. I'll take a bath later when I see less than 3 people at a time.
Absolutely. So with that now done with all four of our adventures and the Seski in the egg chamber, I'm noticing it's 9:36 EST. We have been playing for quite a few hours now. I think I'm going to wrap it up here, unless someone else wants to make a last. Yes.
I want to do a recovery for
Sure.
intellect.
So the way our recovery rolls are done is the first one you take only takes one action, or about 6 seconds. After that, it will take, I believe it's 10 minutes
Yep.
in order to recover. Your recovery roll is 1 plus your current, or sorry, 1d6 plus your current tier. Each person is at first tier, so you roll a d6 plus 1. You don't have to dedicate all of the points into one pool. You can split them up and divide them however you wish.
Alright, it's done. I recovered my intellect completely and then added one to might.
I will do a recovery check myself. Like her, I've spent quite a bit.
Sure.
Now is
So
these
Austin, just really quick, Austin asked a question about recovery. Do you recover over time? At the end of an in-game day, as you go to take a rest, any recovery roll that you haven't taken up to that point yet, you get a roll all of those at the same time, and you'll recover that way. Because a day is 28 hours, the last two recovery rolls are 1 hour and 10 hours. That's an 11-hour sleep as standard rest. And you'll, again, just be able to recover that way. For Bjorn, because Bjorn has taken damage, he will be able to recover via that long 10-hour rest, but if you want to heal them in the middle of the day or at the start of a day, you will have to use a healing cipher or use an ability in order to heal them.
Okay. And so, how many rolls do you get for a day? Then you said use all of those rolls at the end of the day. I was
Sure. So just pulling up a character sheet now, under the middle column, recovery rolls, you'll see 1 action, 10 minutes, 1 hour, and 10 hours. So you get 4 rolls, each roll taking longer than the one previous to that. And similarly, if you've already taken your 1 action, if you want to take a 10-minute recovery roll halfway through an encounter, whether it's social or combat, do bear in mind that you will effectively be put out for that entire encounter. As you kind of sit off to the side and hold your head or give yourself a massage to ease your wounds.
okay.
Here's a question I was wondering, mainly because from other games they do this. Is the recovery rolls going to reset with each session, or are you just going to call it per day?
Typically speaking, it does work per day. While that's how I wanted to play it out, or that's how I typically do play it out, I'll leave that up to my 4 players to decide, do you want to start every single game with a full pool, or do you want your actions and your inability to mitigate incoming damage to carry over?
I think carryover.
Yeah.
Honestly, I could see it either way.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with that. Carryover.
Yeah.
All right.
And
yeah. Yeah, I agree. Typically speaking, it could work the other way, but keeping it simple, we'll have the lack of points carry over. And is there anything else?
Is there what time of day is it right now for the place? Is it like still the same day
dark,
as?
it's dark out with a little bit of light from where we're at.
Yep. Yeah. Anyways, ending the stream here. It's been awesome.
Heck yeah.
I'm sure my players have had a blast. And just to go over, we are joined with Max.
Hello.
James.
Hello.
Robin.
Hi.
And Austin.
Hi.
We're looking forward to meet up with you guys again on the 20th of November, so in 2 weeks' time at 7 p.m. EST. Until then, I'm Evan with OBS, and it's been great. Take care.
Good night.
Night.
Good night.
Bye.